Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book, The Enigma of Consciousness, no other than Mr. Dean Graves.
Hello, Daniel.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Dean, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. My name again is Dean Graves. I'm an author. Obviously, I have the book that you have to consider. I have 3 other books that I've written as well, all on the subject of consciousness. I have 2 podcasts, Simple Enlightenment and Chatting with the Arcturians. I'm a mental health counselor, keynote speaker, and I've been a meditation and mindfulness instructor for about 25 years.
Mr. Dean Graves, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. So, what is the Enigma consciousness, and how does it differ from traditional spiritual awareness?
Well, it's a didactic book. It is full of information on the origination of creation, why creation began, the purpose of creation, the structure of creation. Creation has a very definitive structure. It explains the nature of humanity's experience within creation, including our archetypical mind, which is essentially a blueprint that guides our thought processes. It also explains how this archetypical mind is manifest in the nature of our experiences. And it is essentially the book is information. It's messaging, of course, but it's also information on how we can propel ourselves farther down the enlightenment path.
Interesting indeed, Mr. Dean. So, how does human perception shape our understanding of creation and existence?
Well, human understand that creation has a structure. It is created according to a layers of ranges of consciousness. And we all participate, humanity all participates in one range. That range is third from the bottom. There are 8 ranges. And so we are very elementary in our evolutionary process. We are experiencing some dramatic changes, some significant changes in the nature of our experience, which will accelerate, those changes will accelerate over the next few years. But we are being motivated to assume responsibility for our personal awareness and evolution, and prompted to be more attentive and successful in pursuing the enlightenment path.
So, Mr. Dean, can consciousness exist independently of the physical body, and what does this imply about the nature of the soul?
Well, we are a soul. Each of us individually is an archetype of the Creator, experiencing or having experiences with the common purpose of exploring ourselves. We each have an individual mission, which is can be simply described as whatever it is that we like to do. If we like to be a musician, if we like to be a physician, if we like to be a bricklayer, whatever it is that we like to do is what we are intended to do, because if we do what we like, then we will become proficient at that. And as we become proficient at it, it will attract to us the nature of the experiences that we need in order to fulfill our purpose, which is to explore ourselves. Everything that we experience is consciousness, including ourselves. There's nothing that we can experience that is not consciousness. What we are doing right now, you and I, are analog projections of our metaphysical self, and we exist simultaneously in both the metaphysical world and what we perceive to be the physical world. We do this repeatedly. If you imagine that we're on a sports team, and you probably know that sports teams usually spend the week practicing, and they watch game films of their last game, and they receive coaching and guidance, and then it's time for another game where they're supposed to apply what they were taught during the week's practice. Right now, we're in the game. When the game is over, we will reintegrate with our metaphysical self, which is a consciousness pattern. It does not have a presence as we perceive ourselves to have a presence. And we will go through the process again until such time as we have adequately fulfilled the curriculum of this range of consciousness that we're sharing, and prepare to move to the next higher range of consciousness, which will have a different curriculum, but the process will, for a period of time, be essentially the same.
So, Mr. Lin, how do mystical experiences contribute to humanity's quest for meaning in the universe?
Mystical experiences are in the eye of the beholder. We are capable of having mystical experiences because of our awareness, and our awareness is the initial inherent characteristic of the creator that we are tasked with exploring and becoming in order to prepare to graduate to the next range of consciousness, which we will, at that range of consciousness, we will essentially do the same thing we're doing in this range, only having become awareness, we will be exploring ourselves through the lens of love. And after that, we will do the same thing through the lens of wisdom, and after that, through the lens of unity, and eventually through the lens of stillness, which are the 5 inherent characteristics of the creator on which creation is structured.
So, Mr. Lin, let's talk about humanity's connection to creation. In what ways do different spiritual traditions interpret humanity's relationship with creation?
Well, I'm not familiar with all spiritual approaches. And I can make association with most religious perceptions of God, which is often deemed to be a spiritual endeavor. And religions, all of the major religions that I'm familiar with, are predicated on a basic concept, and that is that there is a God and that there is you as an individual. In other words, there's separation. And that is erroneous. And as we evolve through this range of consciousness, we enhance our awareness until we become awareness. If you perceive, everyone has a concept of God, and usually that concept includes the perception of it being infinite. And if you understand the nature of infinity, infinity is not a lot of stuff. Infinity is everything. The numerical value of infinity is 1. Any other number is finite. So 1 is the only number that is representative of infinity, which is called the law of 1. and which means that everything is one. It's the one immutable law of all of creation. So if everything is one, and religion perceives that there is a God and that there is you that is separate from the God, then that is a misunderstanding of the design of creation. We are the one infinite creator experiencing ourselves at this range of consciousness, which includes the perception of separation. But as we surrender our false perceptions of self, which we are required to do in order to advance along this enlightenment path, we begin to intellectually be able to accept that the one infinite creator is everything and that we are the one infinite creator. And as you do more work to surrender those erroneous perceptions of self, you get to feel, you actually feel in your heart that you are the creator at this range of consciousness, which people often perceive to be or presume to be a very arrogant or grandiose perception of self. But as you progress in that feeling of yourself as a creator, it is actually extremely humbling. And you realize the contribution that everyone that is experiencing the trials and tribulations of this range of consciousness is going through in anticipation of their eventual evolution to be much more in their perception as unity with the creator, but always in total unity from the creator's perspective.
Very well said, Mr. Dan. Very well said. So, what role does free will play in shaping our spiritual destiny within the grand design of the universe?
Free will, creation is possible because of distortions. And free will is the first distortion that allows creation to begin, and it permeates all of creation, facilitating the experiences that we perceive that we have on a daily basis. Philosophers for centuries have debated free will, whether we have free will or whether we're predetermined or some variation of that, which is a misconception of what free will is. Free will is the distortion that we perceive ourselves as separate from the creator. And because we perceive ourselves as separate from each other in all other consciousness as well as the creator, we have the opportunity to make those individual choices to turn right or to turn left or any of the myriad other polarity perceiving choices that we have. And so the process of evolution, the process of following the enlightenment path, is perpetually and incrementally surrendering that perception of separation, each step of which allows us to move closer to unity with the one infinite creator.
So, Mr. Dean, does nature possess its own form of consciousness? And if so, how does it interact with human awareness?
Well, there are 8 ranges of consciousness. We are occupying the third range of consciousness, which is the bottom 2 ranges of consciousness are considered foundational ranges of consciousness. The first range of consciousness can best be described as inorganic matter. The second range of consciousness are plants and animals, organic matter, which enhances the inorganic matter and allows us to experience the variety of planets that we observe. And they're foundational because they must exist in order for we who are occupying the third range of consciousness to occupy a planet. They are nature, as you refer to it, is simply the first and second density foundational ranges of consciousness that allow us, but they are conscious and they are fully consciousness. They're just a lower range of consciousness. but a necessary ingredient to allow us to have the type of experiences that we do.
So, Mr. Dean, what would be your advice for those people out there who want to seek their enigma of consciousness?
Well, first of all, to buy the book.
For
And
sure.
read the book, which will give you some great guidance and some great resources. But the first important step in advancing your evolution along the enlightenment path is to assume responsibility for yourself to undertake with awareness the path. As you do this, you allow yourself, you cause yourself to experience significant healing of mind, body, and spirit, and you gain significant happiness as you surrender your false perceptions of self. Most people perceive happiness as something that we have to get or that we have to create, but happiness is our nature, and it is as we resolve and surrender these false perceptions of self that creates voids in our perception of self, and happiness automatically fills those voids as if it were water washing or rushing into the shore and filling all the vacancies or the holes in the rocks and the crevices in the shore. So happiness is a measure of how we're doing. The happier you are getting, the better that you're doing with your surrendering of your false perception of self and your advancement along the enlightenment path.
Interesting indeed, Mr. Dean. So, what will be your short term and long term goals in writing?
Long-term goals? I'm sorry?
Yes. What
Well,
will be your
long-term goals,
short term and long term goals?
well, short-term goals is to continue to become aware and to become even more of the awareness. We will, as we progress, we will progress individually through this range of consciousness. There's no group graduation from this range of consciousness. We will begin the next range of consciousness also as an individual, but at the point that we have achieved in graduating from this range of consciousness. But from that point, we surrender our perception of self into larger and larger what's called social memory complexes. So we dissolve the perception of independence, the perception of separation from others, and form initially relatively small groups that becomes our new perception of self. But as we continue to evolve through the higher densities, then that expands even more so until eventually we reunite with the Creator, having returned home and seeing it as if for the first time because of the experiences that we've had along the way.
Mr. Dean, good luck for your goals and thank you for your advice. So let's talk about the mystery of the universe and beyond. Is the universe a conscious entity, and how does this perspective influence our understanding of reality?
Well, our universe is consciousness. Everything that we perceive is consciousness. There are an infinite number of universes, and each universe has a separate design. We were talking earlier about the 5 inherent characteristics of the Creator: awareness, love, wisdom, unity, and stillness. But there are a grand total of 32 archetypes of the Creator, inclusive of the 5 inherent characteristics and also the concept of free will. So there are 26 distortions of those inherent characteristics from which to choose from, to mix and match to form the basis of experience in each universe. Our particular universe that we experience is a 9 archetype universe, and all of the expansion of our universe has occurred in groups of 9 stars. Every star is occupied by an archetype of the Creator. And so we have our universe continues to expand in groups of 9. We are consciousness. Everything in the universe is consciousness. There is no voids because of the limitations of our perception. We perceive there to be motion, which is one of the distortions that evolves as the antithesis of stillness. We also have an enhancement of free will, which is a perception of separation beyond the perception of separation of free will. Another distortion that goes into our 9-star system is free will itself, but we also have a distortion of a distortion, which is unconsciousness, which is part of the archetypical mind. And so we all begin this process in our range of consciousness in unconsciousness. And it is incumbent upon us to overcome that by learning to use our awareness to overcome our unconsciousness. And the purpose of that is most people in a middle school general science class probably performed a science experiment where they planted a bean pod in darkness and they planted one in sunlight with nourishing soil, and then they were allowed to grow. The bean pod that was planted in the darkness actually grows more quickly, but not in a healthy fashion than the one that's receiving sunlight. And so if you imagine that we are the bean pods that have been planted in darkness because of the unconsciousness, which was intended to be a stimulus for us to advance more quickly until we reach the light, which is the information, some of which I've provided in this book, and then blossom into a more healthy being. So there's intent and purpose, but there's design in all of this, and all of this is delineated in the book in much more detail than what I can relay in a verbal conversation. But it gives us dimension and perspective as to why we're here, what we're doing, and why things are the way that they are.
Mr. Dan Graves, very insightful. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. So before we wrap up our discussion for tonight, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Food 101, in its 5th season, People, 5th season, with my co-host, Chef Alessandro, one of the specialty chef in one of the 5-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So, Mr. Dan, how can embracing Enigma consciousness lead to a more harmonious and interconnected world?
Well, the more understanding and the more accurate information that we have, then it's, of course, incumbent upon us to incorporate into our perception of building. But as we surrender our perceptions of separation, we question the autonomousness of our nature. We begin to see others as extensions of ourself, as opposed to antagonists or competitors. And so we move to the extent that we are able in this range of consciousness for greater harmony and support each other in our evolutionary journey.
Mr. Dan Graves, thank you for sharing the Enigma of Consciousness. So, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books as well as your podcasts?
Yes, absolutely. Please do. I have a website. Very simply, it's ddeangraves, all one word, .org. And I have all of the contact information for me there, as well as links to the books and to the podcasts and other services that I can help people with their personal healing.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Dan Graves, because if you support him, more and more empowering books to come, more and more episodes to come. So, Mr. Dan, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure. Very nice to have met you and spent the time with you.
More to come, people. See you soon.